one of the things that people don't understand with researchers is the incredible amount of uncertainty and ambiguity that you often deal with. And this is one of I think the biggest things that you end up dealing with that I think most people just can't really manage. And you really only see it once you've been doing it for, I don't know, 6 months or more. And then you start feeling like, oh gosh, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't really have any self-direction. So the idea, I was thinking about this, imagine that you are a entrepreneur and it's your job to start businesses repeatedly. That's what writing papers is like, doing research is actually like, is that you have to write papers repeatedly or start businesses repeatedly that hit every time and that become winners every single time. You can imagine that that's extremely difficult to do because what you're looking for is market fit and market acceptance. And there's all sorts of definitions that people actually have in terms of what that looks like and what the requirements are. Now, what you're looking for often as researchers is that you're going to be a market hit, a number one bestseller every single time. And the truth is that when you're doing this, you don't quite know. There's not a view, there's not a way that makes it shine. There's not a single indicator when you're doing this that you're like, oh, this is working. And people don't understand when they're doing it. Like, they don't understand from the outside what it sort of feels like to repeatedly do this. And so there's lots of different coping mechanisms that all of us go through to deal with this, right? The easiest one that I think almost everybody does is shut down and they don't want to participate in it, right? And you do see this a lot where people just shut down and they have no idea how to deal with the negative criticism that you get and they give up, right? I think that is an easy way to do it. And that makes sense to me. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's completely irrational to give up. And then another sort of coping way, and I think I'm more on this, is that you kind of dig your heels in and you just say, I'm never going to give up despite being, this is completely irrational. It makes no sense. And nobody else is going to see this. That's where I am often. And, both of those are legitimate responses, but it's fascinating in how, and then there's another response that a lot of people do is that they, get angry. I get like that too. But I have kind of generalized anger, or just like negative emotions, and it's generalized. But a lot of people have it very focused on a specific individual, or that there's just a lot of bad behaviors that happen, and it's your job. It's fascinating because it's like life on steroids, right? That you're being constantly measured and assessed, and positioned relative to everybody else. And there's all sorts of, gaming that goes on. Metrics are gamed, all of those kind of things. And it's our job as human beings to try to live a healthy life within that, right? So for me, the way that I try to live a healthy life is continuously, look at the things that allow you to do well, right? The sort of simple things that allow you to do well, getting exercise, making sure, getting some sunlight, spending time with friends and family or my dogs or whatever, right? Like all of those kind of things are incredibly important to tide over that anxiety and stress that you might experience at almost every moment when you're actually going through this. This sort of anxiety, it's very, when you're faced with ambiguity all the time, it's very anxiety inducing, right? And as you get repeatedly exposed to it, it's very easy to get into some dark moments in your life. And it's our jobs to make sure that we're constantly building infrastructure around us to allow us to do the things that we need to do, right? And I'm such a strong believer in making sure that you do things that are healthy as best as you possibly can, so then you can get back up and do it again repeatedly and know that you're going to get a lot of flack along the way. That's going to be very difficult along the way, right? And it's this uphill battle of trying to do something. So imagine the way that I sort of think about it. Imagine like every paper that is worthwhile takes 10 years, right? You're looking at 5 to 10 years. I don't know. I've never had that experience where it was quicker, but it always takes just an enormous amount of time. So imagine you're getting, your job as a salesperson to get, a multi-million-dollar deal, but that sale only comes every 5 to 10 years. You're going to place a lot of stress on yourself to do good things or to not do good things. Sorry. And so it's your job because of that. And you have to do actions every day. You have to work on it every single day. It's your job to maintain just as much peace of mind as possible. And admittedly, I have a hard time doing that every single day. And admittedly, it does get to you. And so you try to build out all of the different areas of your life that you think that you need that support. Right. So maybe it's religious aspects of your life. You need to have that, clearly exercise and longevity, all of those different things where you're just trying to get that support to get back up and repeatedly do this. And then try to compartmentalize all of that anxiety that happens in that particular realm, or cut it off or detach. That's sort of removing yourself. And immediately that's really hard to do, to remove yourself from thinking about, the thing that you're working on. That was one of the hardest things for me to learn, is how do you turn that off? And it comes down to not caring as much as you would like to care. And knowing that there's a lot of futility to what you actually do. And so you cannot get attached to anything. And so you just become numb to it and you just completely don't care. And as you get that practice of doing that, the better off that you actually get to dealing with the anxiety of being a researcher, the preventing depression that might occur, right? And, all of those negative behaviors, you have to learn to turn it off. You have to learn to take a step away and not look at the standard metrics that you're supposed to look at. Admittedly, all of that is hard. And, I do a piss poor job of it, but I try every day. And that's my goal, is to continuously try every day to do the best that I possibly can. All right. Take care. Have a wonderful day.